For Esteem, always great to have you as a viewer. Hey, today we're going to talk about the Racial Justice Committee and the work that is being done at the YWCA of Greater Harrisburg. And we have with us Amanda Arbour, who's a Racial Justice Development Specialist, and also Samia Malik. And she is on the committee for Racial Justice. And we're so glad to have you both here. And the YWCA is doing great work. You've been doing this for a while. Amanda, I'm going to start with you. Tell us all about the work you do.
Sure. So as the Racial Justice Development Specialist, it's my task to focus on the eliminating racism part of our mission. So the YWCA is dedicated to eliminating racism and empowering women. And so that's a core part of who we are and what we do. And so my work is to work with our Executive Director, Tina Nixon, to infiltrate that throughout all of our programs, working with our staff and our Racial Justice Staff Advisory Council within the YWCA to educate our staff and ensure that racial justice is embedded throughout all of our programs, and then partnering with a lot of different organizations and people in the community through our Racial Justice Committee and other avenues to work on initiatives in our community.
But a lot of people didn't know that that was one of the core missions of the YWCA, the Racial Justice Part. And Samia, and you work on one of the committees, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, tell us how long have you been involved with this work?
I've been there for quite a few years. It started with joining Race Against Racism, the race that they have, and became a part of the community. And we did a lot of good works, and one of the good works that we did was we read books on racism, and you were one of the facilitators for us at one time. And I enjoy that. I enjoy being with them and anything to fight against racism, which is well needed now, especially being a Muslim woman in this day and age.
Yes, we need to talk about that. I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah.
Now, Amanda, I know that one of the things that happened just, I guess, in the last year here now, both of you, I guess, have been involved with the CRN Responders Network.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us about that initiative and what that has really evolved itself in that manner.
Sure. So the Community Responders Network, CRN for short, had started back in 2008, and Samia was involved with the inception of that.
Oh, okay.
And so we have grown to encompass over 40 different organizations and individuals in our local community, the Greater Harrisburg area. And the mission of that group really is we're a coalition of local leaders and concerned citizens who are focused on educating, preventing, and responding to incidents of bias and intolerance in the Central PA area.
I had no idea. It started back in 2008. Okay, I didn't realize that. I thought it was really new, you know, in terms of it's good.
Been there for a while.
Yeah, okay.
Well, and tell me some of the things that how you've been involved with that.
CRN, it was when I don't know if you remember this, the time of the first election of President Obama in the swing states, there were 28 million copies of the DVD Obsession that was sent out. They were trying to affect the voting of the people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it was a DVD that was hateful against the Muslims. It was preaching that all Muslims were against anything that's Western American. They were out to kill everybody.
Wow.
And free copies of this in every newspaper in every swing state, and all the elected officials got a copy of it. And I was afraid for my community, one, because within a day or two, a mosque was gassed with chemical irritants. The gas was put through a nursery where the children were kept. And this is when people were there praying. And this affected all our community. We became very scared. And then the college campuses were very involved in a lot of tensions, racial tensions or religious tensions, what have you. I know Penn State got very involved, and they were calling me for advice, and of course the MSAs, Muslim Student Associations, were giving out, you know, this is what you should be doing, don't get confrontational, okay, they're showing the DVD, that's fine, but give them another view of what your thoughts are about it. And so I was advising them, and at that time my concern went to all these good people that are always surrounded, have surrounded me, and I gave them my concerns. I was also part of the Civil Tensions Task Force at the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission. And from there on, this group started saying that, okay, we need to be there for each other. We need to be there. We cannot overlook what the other community is going through. And if anything racist happens in our community, we will be there to say this is wrong.
Very good. Excellent. Yeah.
Now, with that work that was being done by the CRN, committee, I think the initial pieces was exactly what you were just sharing, but it's expanded itself,
Yes.
Amanda, right?
Yes.
Tell about some of the other things that have come out as a result of the work.
Sure. So we're looking at addressing incidences of bias and intolerance broadly. So certainly racism, but not limited to racism. Looking at sexism, sexual orientation, all of the different types of ways that people may be targeted because of some part of their identity. And so we work closely with the PA Human Relations Commission, but they're limited in terms of what is covered under the PA Human Relations Act, and we are not. So as a community organization outside of that, we work to support anyone who is targeted by any type of injustice or intolerance.
Sure, yeah. You know, it's such a pervasive, you know, serious problem in our communities that people oftentimes gloss over. They don't even know just how deep, you know, this is. But you live it every day.
Yes.
We live it every day. And I'm sure you live it every day as well. We all do. You know, we think it's just black or white,
Yeah.
you know, but it's not. It
More than
expands out.
that.
It's cultural, the whole bit. Are we gaining any ground? Is it getting better? Are we making any progress? What is your thinking on that? And I'll start with you, Samia.
We were talking about that outside. Sometimes it feels like we're preaching to the choir. It's the same 10 people that know and understand this that come to our gatherings or any kind of lectures we have or workshops we have. This is a good way to reach outside of the box. And that's what we're trying to do, yeah. And yeah, we live it every day. And imagine being a Muslim and an African American. They have been hardest hit in this area,
Yeah,
unfortunately,
absolutely.
yeah.
Very much so.
You know, we was talking about institutional racism. Let's talk about the difference between the individual acts of racial prejudice but institutional. That's not more, you know, systemic and deeper,
structural, too.
and structural too. So, can you both address that kind of you know, issue and the kind of work we need to do to eliminate it?
Definitely. I think that's one of the biggest challenges is getting people to think beyond, you know, racism is just this individual bias in interpersonal interactions, but getting them to see the bigger picture that it is the structures in place throughout our society that create and reinforce these stereotypes that then lead to prejudice actions. And looking at, I think one of the most glaring examples right now is in our criminal justice system. And we've talked about that before. And in our education system, and looking at how those types of things are creating and perpetuating vast disparities. And those are the issues of structural racism that we need to be looking at. In addition to, you know, breaking down stereotypes and prejudice, that's important as well. But it can't be limited to that. Otherwise, we're never going to eliminate racism.
Yeah, and to that point, I will tell you that I just read a study that said that today, in 2014, our school system is as segregated as it was in 1966.
I saw that. I saw that.
1966.
Yep.
And it's like, what? I mean, that's like a major step backwards, right? You know,
It
and all
is.
that. So, did you want to?
Yes, I'm in a lot of diversity boards in the school, and I was really shocked and surprised to see the objection that the LGBT community got. And it was more from the parents than the children. And it moved me to tears that people could be so mean and would not let their children even come to a class where they tell you what their feelings are.
Yeah.
And that really shocked me that there's so much discrimination against anything that's not usual.
Well, you know, it's interesting you talked about that more coming from the parents versus the youth. I heard a comment just made because Nate and I had the opportunity to just go to a racism institute in
Lancaster Theological Seminary.
seminary. And one of the comments one of the young people made was that once we get rid of the baby boomers, we'll be okay. I thought that was interesting. And I don't know if I would agree wholeheartedly with that part.
I don't know either,
Either.
Yeah.
Apple doesn't fall
From the tree.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
said. So when this young person made that comment, because the feelings of this individual was that this was being perpetuated by an older group of generation of you know, individuals, and that young people weren't seeing things in the same way that they were moving forward. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think it was interesting we had conversations around that when the multiracial Family on the Cheerios commercial had come out several months ago.
Yes.
And it was followed up by, there was a group that did interviews of kids of various ages on their reactions to viewing it. And on the whole, you know, they didn't see an issue, they didn't understand why adults were so upset about it. So, I mean, in that sense, I think the next generation is not seeing difference necessarily in the same ways, but again, it depends on, you know, what influences from their parents, from their
Exactly.
schools, from their communities, And I mean, I think the challenge now is that we see less of the overt racism, but it's much more covert. And that can be more challenging in some ways. The whole idea of color blindness as the new solution to racism really just sweeps it under the rug and does not solve anything. So I think that's our challenge now.
So true, so true. And what I found for a lot of younger people, I'm going to speak to African American youth, they say, oh, no, we don't have the kind of racial and this kind of thing. But then you look at, you know, their outcomes. I mean, they're ending up in the system, the criminal justice system, a lot, you know, more. They are now slated to make less than their parents made as a whole, you know, to be more impoverished. You know, they have more of a pipeline from school to prison if they go to certain schools. And that's, you know, been studied all over the place. So while they say, I have friends, I'm okay, but they don't see the long-term effects. They just don't see it because they're so into this other stuff. And then, you know, they look at us and say, well, that's all you talk about. It's like, well, no, it's just that we understand the historical foundation of it all. And so it gets really tough. And that's the point. It is a really tough issue that you're dealing with, am I right? And so do you have a good representation of people across cultures and ethnicities coming into this type of work at the YWCA, the racial justice work?
Definitely trying.
Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's been one of our efforts in both reviving the Racial Justice Committee and also in expanding the Community Responders Network, that we didn't want it to be a monolithic group of people. You know, even, it can't just be a few well-meaning white people coming together. It has to be people from the entire community who understand this from a lot of different perspectives, and that's the only way we're going to really be able to move forward. So I think I'm encouraged that we do have more of that diversity represented now.
Very good.
Now you have another initiative, Amanda, may want to talk about that, just going to be coming to an opportunity that we have some, I guess some leaders in our community have come together to do a program called
Let's Talk,
Yes.
Conversation About Race. And so this is an exciting initiative that the Racial Justice Committee and the YWCA is launching February 4th. And so Pat is one of our facilitators, as well as Nick Myron from Lancaster YWCA. And so what it's going to be is a 6-week series of facilitated conversations that use the study circle model of a small group of people coming together to really wrestle with these issues of race and racism, both on an individual level, as well as looking at how does this impact our communities, our organizations, our society on those systemic levels as well, and then what can we do to change it. And so we've been really encouraged. We had reached out to, we wanted to get the movers and shakers of Harrisburg together to work on this issue. And so we've been really encouraged. We have representation from the new mayor's administration, from the Harrisburg School District, a number of the chambers, United Way. There's a whole group of people that really represent all different sectors of Harrisburg, and so we're really excited to have them coming together to have this difficult conversation.
That's great. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really exciting because, again, I know the initial plan was to reach out to these individuals that could be, you know, instrumental in getting the message out, and we had thought or felt they maybe not come, but maybe send someone, okay, from their organization, agency, or department. But surprisingly enough, some of those people that we initially reached out to did, in fact, you know, accept the invitation that they definitely wanted to be a part of this. So that was truly exciting.
It was, yeah.
Good to see
and
that.
I think we wanted to keep it to a small group,
Yes.
but it has grown.
It's grown.
Now we have to limit it.
Yeah, now we have to, okay. But it's a pilot, so hopefully as we review and evaluate and determine how these sessions come about, then as we move forth and have additional, these study circles and allow more people to start coming involved. But I think it really talks a lot to the YWCA and Greater Harrisburg and their, vision, and that they're really wanting to move forth and doing some really active work in the community. What do you think about that in regard to the work that you've been doing, to me, over the last years?
Oh, hats off to Tina and Amanda and the whole YMCA group.
Yeah.
They have really been vigilant, and even when we have some burnouts, they try and bring us back in.
Yeah.
So they have done really a wonderful job of, fighting against racism and empowering women. Yeah, eliminating racism.
You know, I do want you to talk about the race against racism. I know that's probably being planned again right now, but I do want to pick up on the fact that you said sometimes we're burned out.
Yes.
And you can get burned out in this kind of work because it's just, but you got to get reinvigorated and come back. Yeah. But that is something that we have to do. We have to, check ourselves at times, right? Because it seems like, and you did say it's a small group of people, and hopefully it's beginning to expand, but that small group has to be India and everything. But let's talk about that race against racism.
Yes.
When is that coming up?
That is going to be on April 26th. It's always
okay.
held the last Saturday in April, and we coincide it with all of the other YWCAs across the United States. It's a nationwide event, and so held on City Island, and that is our major fundraising event for racial justice programs at the YWCA. So we use the funds raised there to spur our programs throughout the rest of the year.
Well, tell us the mechanics, because we have people watching the program. They might say, hey, I might want to do this to support. So how do you go about it?
Yeah, so it's held on City Island, starting at 9 a.m. And we are doing something new this year. We're having a kids fun run to start the day off, to get kids involved more. And then we're going to have the runners and walkers going off at 9:30. And afterwards, since this is our 10th anniversary, we've been doing this for 10 years, we're going to have a festival following it. So there'll be entertainment, there'll be kids games and activities, there's going to be vendor tables from local organizations. So yeah, we really want to kind of bring everyone together to celebrate after the race, that this is our 10th year. And we're also going to be having some educational pieces, so having some awareness about, these are 10 things that you can do to work towards eliminating racism, to bring people back to this is why we're here.
Cool, that's good stuff.
Yeah,
that's
wonderful
great.
stuff.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I thought was empowering too is that having the opportunity to attend the retreat this past weekend is that the YWCA of Lancaster, who actually, I guess, coordinated that with the theological seminary there, Maureen Powers, who is Tina Nixon's counterpart there, was one of the facilitators, and she was talking about how long they had been operating, and they were celebrating, I believe it's their, this year, was it 75th or anniversary?
Yeah.
It was a large number. She herself has been there about 32 years. But when is the anniversary for our Greater Harrisburg? Why? What year are we in? Anybody know that?
That is a great question. I should know that. We've been here for a while.
Yeah,
I
was
can
just
tell you
curious
that.
when that comment had been made, because I think here, I'm sure, hopefully we've been around just as long. Do you do a lot of collaboration like that with your local YWCAs?
We certainly try to, yeah. Lancaster being the closest one to us, we certainly work with them a lot. And they also have one of the model racial justice programs in our area. So, so they're the ones that we work most closely with, at least I do in this area.
Right.
You do have a program that you're going to be working with the Trayvon Martin, the initiative that Representative Pam is doing. You're going to reach out to all the Ys, right?
Right, yes. So
what's it now?
the racial profiling resolution that we're working on, looking at doing with the Racial Justice Committee, we're looking at, we want to partner with the other Ys across the state. To Representative Patty Kim will be introducing a House resolution, hopefully. We're working with her on
And
that.
that was spurred on by Trayvon Martin, is that what I heard you say? Okay,
Yeah.
Because that was the issue that kind of came, and there was a lot of response, and we wanted to do something, and we kind of did and didn't, right?
Yeah.
But we can't let that die, because that was a critical issue. And so many.
Some others have come after that as
no
well.
question.
Yeah.
In every culture, probably, we could talk about a Trayvon Martin that was, just based on pure profiling and, this kind of thing. So, yeah, that's important work. I'm glad. Any idea when that's going to take place?
We're hoping to have it introduced on the 2nd anniversary of his death, which is February 26th.
Okay.
I mean, it's still in the works, so nothing official yet, but that's something that we're hoping to do.
February 26th,
Yes,
yeah.
we were surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like it's only been a year, but it's been 2. So.
Yeah.
Since 2001, 9/11 was 2000 or 2001? I think it was 2001, yeah. There has been a lot of, tension, and your community's been under attack, and there's been a lot going on. How has that been, since, has it gotten better now? Or you still, I know you're still doing the work, but, speak to that issue for a minute.
It's ongoing.
Okay.
Yeah. To every something negative that has happened, there's always 3 positives that
All
happen.
right. Yeah.
So I always look forward to the positive,
Mm-hmm.
and the negatives are still there. Even today, I was hesitant to come on because what's going on in Russia.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And
right.
so again, I know when I go out, I'm going to get those looks where I almost think is jihad written on my forehead
I
or
know what you
something,
mean,
or a terrorist.
Yeah.
It is scary for us every time, yeah. We are thankful and grateful we live in this country where our rights are protected. Those negative things, good people like us have to come together
Absolutely.
and say this is not going to be done here.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we have to target the young, and that is always my first preference.
Right.
Target the young, teach them when they're young. And I see racism, African American against Africans from back home.
Yes, yes,
Yep,
yes.
unfortunately.
And that boggles my mind. We have the same color. You have the same color.
Yeah.
No, they smell different.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Yes. Absolutely.
yeah.
No, you're
Yeah.
speaking directly to the heart of it. And a lot of times it's just pure ignorance. We don't know.
From
and we,
all
and we
sides,
yes, and we don't want to, you know, actually ask the question and get to know one another. So we just keep operating off of the myths and the divisions.
Right.
But that's the reason why I guess the racial justice work that you're doing was created in the first place. Is that right?
That's
Just
right.
to break down some of these barriers. How can we get the word out to the greater community beyond just this show? What else can we do? What is the work that we must do so that the community will embrace even larger, you know, the work that you're doing?
I mean, I think definitely becoming involved with some of the initiatives we have going on, coming out to the Race Against Racism, joining in when we have further let's talk conversations.
Yeah.
I think it's really a matter of this is an issue that people are really hesitant to talk about. And so if we can talk about it and be honest with ourselves and each other, then we have a hope of moving forward and making things better. So I think that's the most important thing.
And I appreciate you saying being honest, because we have to be honest, and we have to talk about our real feelings and really have that way of disclosing and in a safe way and manner.
Yes.
And that's what sometimes that doesn't happen. I have to take my hat off to Nick in one of the sessions that
Nick,
Yeah.
full name. What's his name?
Miron?
Yeah,
Myron.
Nick
Mhm.
Byron,
Mhm.
at the Lancaster YWCA. In that session, he really got serious with European whites in regard to not being open and honest. And it's about feelings, it's about emotions, and we've got to talk about this. You can't intellectualize this whole process. And I thought he just eloquently really put that out. And I think that's what we have to get to in the Let's Talk. Is we got to talk about the gut stuff, the stuff that's so hard to really get to a lot of times.
And Nick is a white male himself, and he really laid
Right.
it out.
He laid it out.
Yeah, put his own self.
And it takes someone like that.
That's
to
right.
bring it all up.
That's right. And we all have to own that and you know, speak from that heart. But the question is, how can people who are watching this show become a part or volunteer of the committees, and how can they reach out to you? Like, do you have numbers or something like that? When do you meet? You know, this
Sure,
kind of thing.
definitely. Well, you can certainly contact me. The YWCA's number is 717-234-7931. My extension's 3057. So certainly I would be the contact person for racial justice initiatives, whether you're interested in the Racial Justice Committee or the Community Responders Network. We have several different committees that are working on different projects, including rapid response and prevention and education. If you want to become involved with the Race Against Racism, you can register on our website, which is ywcahbg.org. And so those are a couple of ways to connect.
Good stuff.
And what can we do in regard to getting a better understanding, appreciation for your organizations and families and individuals through what manners? What can people do? I think the first thing they can do is have relationships.
Yeah, yeah.
Get to know each other.
That's right.
Okay, but what are the things you think would be helpful?
Get to know the person. The fear of the unknown is what keeps us apart.
Right.
And don't judge me by what someone else is doing. Get to know me.
Right.
Yes.
And I am different from the bad people that are doing it. And of course, there's bad in every community.
Yeah,
and right
absolutely.
now, so get to know me and get to know the Muslims besides you, or your neighbors, or your community members. Give them a Christmas candy. Take them a Christmas cookie for them.
Yeah.
Something. Just start a conversation with them and get to know them. It's the fear of the unknown
Absolutely.
That's absolutely
keeps you.
And I thought it was always sad also when we had the situation of, was it the Sikh community and the Muslim community? They would mix the two up and didn't even know and all this kind of stuff you had. So we have a lot of work to do. But the good news is that the YWCA is doing it. Okay? So we just have to continue to tell that story and to get involved and everything. But we know about the Race Against Racism. What else do you have coming up? I know you have a number of initiatives that go on, but are there other things that you can share with us at this time?
We also have our annual South Allison Hill Multicultural Festival.
Okay,
So that's
yes.
this is the 12th annual year, and that's just an opportunity to come together and celebrate the different cultures that are particularly present in our neighborhood. And so that will be May 11th.
May 11th, okay. The South Allison Hill
Multicultural
Festival. You say it's May the 11th? Okay, wow, everything's coming up pretty quickly here. So
We
need
have a lot
to-
of things happening.
Yeah.
Yes.
So April and then
Next
follow
few
up with
years.
May.
We have March. February.
February is the
February.
curtain. Let's
Yeah, let's
Talk,
talk. Let's
yeah.
talk.
Oh, that's right. February's Let's Talk.
Yeah, that's our second,
Yeah.
February 4th.
Yeah. Now, and also you do have vendors or vendor opportunities for your multicultural festival, is that right?
Yes.
Okay,
mhm.
good,
As
good.
well as our Race Against Racism, we have limited space there.
Okay, well, that's
but
great
yeah,
though. Yeah,
and-
but
and
that's
that
what we need though. We need the communities to come out and embrace and to tell your story and all that. Do you find churches, are the churches, I know we talked about it earlier part of the program, are they coming on board a little bit more, or do you find them to still kind of just, how do the churches deal with this, this subject matter? Are they involved?
I mean, I think it depends on the church. I mean, certainly with the Community Responders Network, it was many members of the faith community that came around and started it. And so we certainly have folks there who are very involved and very committed to these issues. But yeah, it depends on the church and yeah, how different denominations or different places of worship view these things.
Samia, have you been invited to, and I'm sure you probably have, the, what's it called, the Interfaith, is it called the Interfaith Council? They put on a number of programs.
Interfaith
so-
Alliance.
Interfaith
Interfaith
Alliance,
Alliance.
yes.
Yes, I have been a part of it.
Oh,
Very
wonderful.
good. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
good.
good. Yeah, and they do wonderful
They
work
do.
as well.
They do
Yeah.
a good job.
Yes, indeed.
I am stretched quite thinly, so
Yeah.
sometimes I have to stay back and.
Sure. Because they begin to call on you every
Yes.
time there's an issue. Oh, let's call on. Isn't that the way it's
Yes,
done? And we need to,
sometimes,
yeah,
yes.
we need to
Reach
do a
out
better
to
job.
others that
Yes.
also can participate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that does bring up another point. You know, a lot of people watch the show and say, oh, that's good to do it. But they really need to be involved. Am I right about
They
it?
do.
And we can all be involved at some level.
Yeah.
Okay, and already you've laid out that there's a lot of different ways they can enter into your coalitions, your committees, you know, things like that. So we just need to figure that out, how to get them off the couch, how to get them out their own comfort zones.
Even
right?
a smile at me would be great.
Thank you,
Isn't
man.
that
Even a smile.
great?
I agree
Yeah.
with that so much.
I always tell smiles across all languages, cultures,
Yes.
faith groups, and everything.
Yeah. One of the things that we have embarked on and through the World Affairs Council of Harrisburg was the International Poetry and Storytelling Festival, which I thought was excellent. But it could be larger, bigger, greater. And I think the collaboration with the Y and that council and really get students to embrace that whole idea and begin to bring their voices, you know, to what could be a big help as well.
That would
So we
be
got some work
great.
to do on that, you know. Well, we've quickly run out of time here, but I really thank you both for coming
Yes.
on.
Thank you.
You
for
know,
Thank you
having
so
us.
much.
We really appreciate that.
Yes, indeed. And again, your phone number is?
234-7931.
Okay, and we have a number. They have a number of different initiatives: Race Against Racism, your Multicultural Festival, so many things coming up in the community. The Community Responders Network is something else that you can be involved in. So it's not a matter of whether or not we have the mechanism to make it happen. The question is whether or not we have the will and the desire to make it happen. And we can't do this without you. So we hope that you'll get involved, okay? Support the YWCA and all the work that they're doing. Support this community and have yourself a blessed day. See you next time on Life Esteem.